Hi, Philip. Thanks for your post and your opinions and your insight. I really liked how you added more information with the Operation Anaconda. I really didn't know that, so thank you for providing that. However, I would have to disagree with one thing that you mentioned, and you mentioned that Bush had to respond to um, Bush had to respond after the attacks on 9/11 for his political career, as well as Obama had to continue American, as well as Obama had to continue to send American troops into Afghanistan for Osama bin Laden because of his political career as well. And you mentioned that this idea of vital interest for political careers. And I really would have to say I don't agree with this argument because obviously there's other reasons that we go to war. And I truly think presidents, for their political careers, try to keep us out of war the best that they can. Because most of the times Americans don't like going to war. However, maybe Bush, in my opinion, Bush had no way of not going to war. War was just inevitable because of how Americans felt about after the attacks and retaliation and all that. So, just an example of why I don't think that presidents go to war as a vital interest for their political career is because Woodrow Wilson, during his campaigning for his second term as president to be reelected, he advocated that and campaigned that he would keep America out of war and we would not take part in World War I. However, after he became elected and he went almost directly to Congress and asked Congress to declare war for the United States to be involved in World War I. And this proved to be detrimental to his political career because Americans did not want to go to war. And for so long during his entire campaign, he campaigned that he would keep the United States after war. And however, he did not stand by his word, which ultimately led to Americans believing for the first time that their president was lying to them, and Americans began to feel like they couldn't trust their president because he had campaigned for one thing but went and did the opposite other. So in my opinion, I think presidents try to stay out of war, do not because of their political career. They don't want to ruin their political career by always declaring war and always being involved with war because of, I really believe that the American publics don't always believe in going to war and don't like going to war. And then you also mentioned if the United States was able to ensure that the Taliban would no longer aid Al Qaeda and could effectively run the government of Afghanistan successfully in a way that we deemed is proper, do you think that the United States would do so? And in my opinion, I would hope the United States would allow the Taliban to do so if they could effectively do it and would not aid Al Qaeda, because at some point we have to get out of Afghanistan. We can't stay there forever, and we can't influence their policies and procedures and their way of government forever. It's just we don't have jurisdiction to do so. Many have argued, and I've seen it in posts for this week, that the president that was elected was not really favored by the population in Afghanistan. However, the United States wanted him to be president. Therefore, he ultimately became elected as president. And I just feel at some point we have to allow the groups in the country and the government within that country to run its own course and be its own country. We cannot influence it for so long, and we shouldn't. So I really hope that the United States would, even not just the Taliban, let any group that was elected by the majority of Afghanistan to run the country, because like I said, at some point we have to get out. And it shouldn't be a group that believes in using terrorism and all that. We should have some opinion to stop that and not allow that to happen. But we can't criticize and look into every single group that wants to, or organization or president that wants to run the country, because at some point it's just not our place to do so. So thank you so much for your post this week. I really enjoyed it and your feedback, and I look forward to hearing more.